Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope that you had a fabulous weekend. We roll right around. Rhino, of course, had the King's Court at 2. Got a chance to recharge his batteries, and here we are a couple of hours later, ready to do our show. How
Yes,
you doing,
indeed.
buddy?
Back at better than ever. Doing great. How was your weekend, Napes?
That's good. Good weekend. I watched a lot of the Open and loved watching that Royal Troon. What a golf course, huh?
It was the star of the tournament, Grant. It really was. It was what a wonderful test for golf in general.
I mean, when the wind is the that back nine where all the golfers were talking about, I think it was Friday, was it, or Saturday, but they were saying that was the hardest 9 holes of golf they've ever played.
Yes, and some of the charts and graphics they put up about the differing wind conditions, and Sky Sports had a cool graphic about the yardage versus the wind in the player's face. But I think Xander, the winner of the tournament, said it best: keep it in the fairway, keep the
Yep.
ball moving forward, and keep it in front of the hole.
That's why I told you I didn't use my driver other than like 1 or 2 holes where I had to because you had to carry the ball a certain distance. But I did the same thing. I just tried to keep the ball on the short grass and out of the bunkers. That's it. And listen, easier said than done. But I mean, those bunkers are just unbelievable, aren't they?
It's crazy. And seeing the pros just hunker down, get ready to focus that shot, and then just see it come right back down to them, it makes us feel all right about ourselves as amateurs.
Yeah, it's quite a treat to go play golf over in that part of the world. So anyway, Xander Schauffele, back-to-back majors. That's darn impressive.
Very much so. And he's one of those guys, Grant. It took him 28. And now he's won 2 out of 3. And he's always in the mix. So good for golf. It's just a matter of how the hell do you get the eyeballs on golf?
If you had told me that I would have watched Scotty Scheffler melt down on the back nine on Sunday with the championship one shot away, I would have said that's not going to happen. I couldn't believe the way Scheffler played on that back nine.
Yeah, you know what? It happens to the best of them, Grant. It just takes a little something here, a little something there, but you don't see it often. And credit to the players that took advantage of that for sure.
All right, good news. We got NFL training camps going on, and teams are getting geared up. And so we will be talking some NFL news. I always say a good NFL training camp is one in which you don't have any injuries. There are some key players that are still not signed, like Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Packers. He said he's not going on the practice field until he has a new deal.
He has a little bit of leverage based on what Green Bay has at backup quarterback right now, Grant, but it's really one of those confounding situations if you're Green Bay. Yeah, he leads a team to 10-9, a youngest team in the NFL. But last year's contract was filled with incentives. What do you do? I don't think you're ready to put him up there in the top 5, top 10 quarterbacks.
Can't do it. Yeah, you can't
No.
do it. Just can't do it. So, but listen, it's very unfortunate that he's not going to be on the practice field. Now, I did read that both sides are optimistic they're going to be able to get something done, but this is not a good way to start training camp.
No, you know what doesn't make sense to me, Grant, is that you participate in OTAs across the board in the offseason, but then when training camp rolls around, you hold out then. You'd think the holdout would begin with OTAs in the mini camps.
Aaron Rodgers, talked about missing the mandatory mini camp. And again, it's almost like right now he has a different set of rules. He was trying to normalize it and talking about how it's blown out of proportion, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. The bottom line is you can't come out in January and make the comments that you made about everyone needs to be completely all in on football. We can't have any distractions, and then do that and think it's all right. It's not all right. Plain and simple, it's not all right.
The point that this is still a conversation, and I know he made his comments on a podcast that was released today. It's beyond me, Grant. Move on from the situation. Just say, yeah, I should have been there, right? And just keep it moving. It just seems, or it speaks to me like there's something larger there in the building between him, Saleh, and the rest of the team.
And it took one day for Ravens coach John Harbaugh to have to come out and defend Lamar Jackson when he was asked a question about Lamar not getting to the big show. The bottom line is I did a rant on this today. If I got to win a big game in January, Lamar Jackson's not the quarterback I'm taking. All right, I'm just not.
No, there's not with the way that defensive rush these days. It's too difficult for him sometimes to get outside the pocket. Not to mention, you don't want him taking the hits. But John Harbaugh is saying that he could be the greatest quarterback to ever play football in the NFL. To me, is insane. That's going above and beyond defending your guy.
Well, it's already too late for that, based on the fact that he's been in the playoffs 7 games and only has 2 wins. And like last year in the Kansas City game, he only completed 53% of his passes and turned the ball over twice. So, John Harbaugh, I get the fact that you got to defend your quarterback. I'm okay with that. I understand it. But, for John Harbaugh to, talk about basically that people don't know what they're talking about. No, people do know what they're talking about because people have eyes. And the reality is Lamar Jackson has a lot to prove in the month of January. That's how we measure success among our athletes, correct?
Absolutely. It's what you do down the stretch and what you do in crunch time when it matters.
Yeah. All right. If you want to get in on the program today, it's easy to do, right, buddy?
It's indeed. I'm going to put the link back in the chat for you. You can also scan the QR code if you'd like to call and join us that way. Love to hear from you. Take the show any way you want to go.
Anything else you want to talk about, we can do so. Whether it is the NBA, and things will start quieting down here a little bit once we they're starting to quiet down right now, but we'll see. We'll see what the Kings roster will look like when they open up camp here in about, what we're talking about, 2 months.
Yeah, just about. They open up camp September and then, late September, and then you get your media day, and then October, it's time to rock and roll. It'll be here before we know it, though. That's the crazy thing, James.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we will, the schedule, by the way, will come out roughly in about 3 weeks.
Where do you think the Kings land national TV-wise after quote-unquote regression last year?
Oh, I think getting DeMar DeRozan now, I think they'll be on more than last year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll have more than a few TNT games. I think they only had a couple scheduled, and then they got an extra one towards the end.
All right, this one, Grant, USA basketball. Do I think it's in trouble? Your thoughts? No. And I don't pay any attention to any of the games leading up to the Olympics. They're, the fact that they almost lost to South Sudan. I mean, yeah, that would have been unbelievable, but if they win the gold medal, nobody's going to be talking about a game they played in the exhibitions back in July. So it's all about the Olympics. It's all about bringing home the gold, and anything less than that will be a complete failure for USA basketball.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more worried than you are. I know it's exhibition. You work the kinks out, get a little chemistry, but they're not scoring. Grant, they've had 86, 98, 105, and 101. That comes out to about 94 points a game. And I know it's 10-minute quarters. The defensive end is what bothers me for them. Teams are making them work, which affects the offense for America.
Well, they don't take it seriously. If they took it seriously, I would care, but I don't care because they don't take it seriously. If the Team USA doesn't take it seriously, why should I? So they're going to just all get together once every 4 years when the rest of the world takes it seriously every single offseason.
Absolutely.
As you pointed out, chemistry. They're cohesive. They have that sense of pride. Whereas Team USA, oh, gee, it's an Olympic year. Okay, I'll play. Let me raise my hand. Sorry. You know what? They don't care. Why should I care?
Yeah, I hear you. It would be an indictment of the USA program in that, right, if they don't bring the gold back. And this whole Durant thing, Napes, do you think he can even be effective, seeing that he hasn't played in any of the exhibitions?
You tell me. It's very I don't quite understand it, Ryan. Like, you replace Kawhi Leonard. Why are you not replacing Kevin Durant?
Right. I mean, well, Durant, one of the best in historic players in Olympic history, basketball-wise, but a calf strain is nothing to mess with. And the fact that you think you're just going to throw him in the middle of the Olympics to mesh with a team that's been trying or having their issues meshing, turning the ball over, it's hard to see, Grant. I just don't see him stepping onto the court and being KD that we know.
All right, this question, Grant, are you going to do Grant's rants again? I do them every day. On my podcast, on my website. Go to ifyoudontlikethat.com or grantnapier.com or wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. So I do a rant every single day. But starting right after Labor Day weekend, I'm going to be doing a rant here. And I'm not sure what the name of it is. It might be Pick a Rant for Grant. But you're going to pick out my rant. You're going to give me suggestions. and I'm going to look at the chat line. I'm going to look at all the suggestions, and then I'm just going to do a rant based on your suggestions. So we're going to start doing that right after Labor Day weekend, right here on this channel.
Yeah, and they'll be filtered out by like Christmas and also by carpool lane. So if you want those, just go to YouTube, find them there.
Now you got to be
original,
fresh. We got to be.
Yes.
We got new material, right?
Yes.
Anyway. All right. So, yeah, but you can listen to my rants every day. I put them out every day. All right. Again, if you want to get in on the program, Ryan, I'll put the links out. We appreciate all the messages on the chat line. But as far as Team USA goes, this is going to be a really, really bad look for Grant Hill if they don't win the gold medal.
Yep, no doubt about it. And he tried to make it more personalized, bring the players closer together, delivered their invitations, hand won. But yeah, the way the team is composed going forward, that's going to be a big knock on him.
And again, they win the gold medal, no one's going to care. That's all. That's the only thing that matters.
But isn't that kind of a bigger problem too? Because then you're just in the same cycle of USA basketball.
Yep. What happens if they don't win? Let's just say they win the bronze or the silver, or they have a disaster like they had in the World Games last year, or the World Cup in Manila, and they didn't even medal.
It's a good question. I don't see the core of the program changing, but I certainly think that they've got to look at how they put the teams together. You know this from all your years in the NBA. You don't just put the 12 best players in the world on a court together.
Right.
That does not always work. You've got to have guys that specialize in different areas. And sometimes with USA basketball, it is just putting the best guys on the court.
And what about the age of this team? Are you concerned about that with some of the real key players?
I'm not, because a guy like Braun, he's proven that he can play the heavy minutes. The last couple games, he's been the difference in USA pulling out the wins in the exhibitions. But I am worried about your Durant if you have to rely on a guy like that has not worked out. And I'm more worried actually about a Joel Embiid. You know, is he going to be able to hold up? He's held up thus far, but Grant, sometimes those injuries catch up.
All right, Cody said NBA re-signing with TNT rant. Well, listen, they matched the offer from Amazon, so I think everyone's pretty happy with that because Inside the NBA is one of the great shows on TV. Now the question is, Charles Barkley's already said that next year is going to be his last year.
Correct. And the other question is the NBA feels that they can actually decline that match and can still go with Amazon. So this could theoretically end up in court.
Yeah, I don't know why they would. Why would they do that?
Trying to look for a new partner. TNT saying, hey, you're breaching the contract. That's where we don't have the contract, so we don't know exactly what the language says. But certainly TNT, the way they put the product out is much different than an Amazon putting the product out. And Adam Silver's been pretty clear about changing the way the NBA is viewed.
Well, if it's going to follow in the footsteps of what the Thursday night football package has looked at, then keep the damn games off Amazon because that's a freaking disaster. The entire, which in all fairness, I've watched 10 minutes of it just to check it out. But the talent that they've hired on Amazon to do some of their shows, first of all, you have to have a criminal record. You have to have done some egregious things just to be able to speak for Amazon. But their entire package was so bad that Roger Goodell criticized it after the first year and said, you got to get this better. This is not good for the league. Keep away. So I don't need Amazon doing the NBA. I really don't.
Well, especially at the level that they have. They would have a conference finals every other year, the way this contract works out. I personally have no desire to go to watch Amazon for the conference finals for many of the same reasons that you said.
I don't know if you saw the letter that James Dolan wrote to the Board of Governors about this pending TV deal, but he ripped the hell out of it. Now, I'm not a James Dolan fan at all, but I got to tell you, in reading that, I thought he made a lot of sense. He brought up a lot of very good points.
I did not see the letter. What were the points he brought up?
He was just talking about how it's going to be really bad for the regional sports networks, and it's going to also hurt a lot of their partnerships with their sponsors because your signage on the court will not be permitted for these certain national games. And he said that a lot of games are going to be taken off your regional sports networks. And he said that it's going to be basically a death knell for these regional sports networks.
It's a valid point. They're already on life support as we speak. You saw it fall through for the Padres last season in baseball. They had to kick their games to MLB TV. Here's the other thing. The younger generation is consuming the NBA digitally anyways, right?
Yeah.
So you have that hardcore older generation. I don't mean to say older, but baby boomer generation. They're the ones keeping the TNT ratings high a lot of times. They're the ones watching those midweek games. Are you going to get them to cross over to that digital version, whether it's Amazon or such? Because I don't think having the games on cable television benefits the younger viewers whatsoever.
Well, watching anything is a matter of habit. And when technology evolves and new things evolve, you need to develop a habit before you go into that entity. So it's just habit forming. Eventually, they will. If that's the only way you can watch the games, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and you know what? It is a changing time. Apple TV user here, Grant. We don't have cable TV.
Think about that, right?
Yeah, it's so much different. You had to have cable. You had to have a black box. Do you remember? Never mind. We're gonna take.
Well, I remember as a kid on Long Island, when my neighborhood got cable TV, it was one of the great moments for all of us as sports fans, because then we were finally going to have access to our local teams. And I remember all of us were euphoric about getting cable TV, that it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then HD comes along for our generation, even though there was only a couple channels you could watch on HD at the time,
Yep.
so on and so forth, 4K. I never got behind the 3D stuff. That didn't make sense to me.
Never done.
Can't do it.
I am behind New Works Plumbing now when I have a issue with my plumbing. Any type of plumbing repairs, plumbing needs, just go to sackserviceplumbing.com, or you can call that number on your screen. They're available 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you at sackserviceplumbing.com. Rolling right along here on a Monday, Napes and Rhino, and I can't wait for about 4 or 5 weeks from right now when we start getting into college football.
Absolutely. It's supposed to be a fun season. They're expanding the playoff to 12. So that'll be a fun thing. Hopefully, should have one smaller team, I believe, worked in contractually. But I'm looking forward to that expanded playoff. How about yourself?
Yeah, I cannot wait. I think it's going to be good. I'm actually Labor Day weekend taking my boys to the Alabama game in Tuscaloosa.
Wow.
So they've never experienced that. So Labor Day weekend, I am taking Trent, and we are flying to Nashville to see my younger son, who works at the ABC TV station there. And then we're going to drive 3.5 hours on Saturday. I got a whole bunch of friends that live in Tuscaloosa. One has a condo with a balcony that basically overlooks the stadium.
Nice.
And it's a night game. They're not playing a great opponent. It's Western Kentucky, post Nick Saban era, but it won't matter. They won't care. I won't care. We're going to have a great time.
Not many night games in Alabama. That's going to be a fun one, Grant.
Yeah, 6 o'clock. Yep.
Very cool. Love it.
Yep. Last year we went to the game in Knoxville. We went to the Tennessee-South Carolina game, also a night game, and that was what a phenomenal experience that was. That was great.
It's a different way of taking in football. It's a lifestyle out there. You know what I am interested this year, Grant, with all the conference realignment, the travel. It's closer to a pro type of travel than ever before for some colleges like Cal and those that are moving conferences.
I get the fact that it's money, but it goes against everything that colleges and universities are supposed to stand for.
It does. It's much more than a scholarship now. Let's put it that way. I mean, but you kind of, Grant, you do it out of necessity for some of these athletic programs because football, in some cases basketball, they fund a lot of the other sports that go on at the universities.
All right, so here's my question. A very small percentage of all of the players that we watch on the college gridiron on Saturday go on to play professional football. Okay?
Yes.
What do you do if you're one of those true student athletes who are trying to play football and get an education, and now all of a sudden you're at a school that you could have gone to the transfer portal, but the point
Sure.
is now you have to do that type of travel and try to get education and everything else. I mean, it just makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah, it does. They have incredible services for the student
Yes, they do.
athletes. They've got tutors that travel on the road. You take exams on the road and such. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It makes that experience to me a little bit more exciting. I don't think that throws a big wrench in it for them.
All right. Well, in any event, it's going to be interesting. As you said, the landscape of college football has certainly changed. No doubt about it.
Indeed. Definitely. Get up in here. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to put the link back in the chat again. We'll let Gammon kick it off tonight. Welcome in, Gammon.
Yes, gentlemen. How we all doing tonight?
How are you, Gammon?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I know, Grant, nobody is bigger on watching the USA Olympic basketball team like you. What is your assessment? Because I know you're probably not watching every single game, but I know that you're still hearing the rumblings, right? The chatter, everything that's kind of going on. What's kind of like your far aside kind of assessment of what's going on, and is it what you kind of expected whenever you kind of pick up the newspaper or see your news feed?
I don't really pay as much attention to it as you think I do. And the reason for that is the only thing that matters with this team is what happens when the games start in Paris. All right. That's nothing else matters. Okay. Playing South Sudan or Canada or blowing out Serbia up to this point doesn't mean anything. This team's going to be judged solely 100% on what happens in the Olympics, and if they don't win the gold medal, it will be considered a complete and utter failure. All right, even though the rest of the world has really improved their basketball acumen, so to speak, this will be a complete failure for USA basketball. So, Gammon, in a nutshell, I'm only paying attention to what happens in the Olympics, not leading up to the Olympics. Nothing that is happening now, to me, is of importance. I know Ryan and I disagree a little bit on this. He's seen some
I've
issues.
heard. Yeah.
But well, that's fine. That's why I like that. But to me, it's like a team that doesn't play well in the preseason of the NFL or the spring training. I don't really care about any of that stuff. Wake me up when the bell rings.
Absolutely. And I think that was kind of my problem, right? As like a fan, and that's kind of why I call in here. And I think I got caught up into the exhibition of it all, and I think Ryan was trying to calm me down and then put me into a different train of thought of like, this is not where everybody's rolling on all tens, kind of coming in to this thing.
And here's something else, Gammon. I'm probably in the minority here, and I acknowledge that. Team USA has turned me off as a sports fan, as a fan of the Olympics, as a fan of international competition, because they don't take it seriously. Why should I take them seriously? They don't care about anything other than the Olympics. They don't care about non-Olympic years. France cares about non-Olympic years. Canada cares. Serbia cares. Australia cares, right? Germany cares. Spain cares. All the countries care about international competition in non-Olympic years, except for one country. And that country is the United States. Why? Oh, we're too good. We don't have to prove ourselves in the World Cup. We don't have, no, we'll just, you come call us when the Olympics start. That's a turnoff for me. I don't like that.
When do you think that started for you? Because you've been somebody who's been covering the sport for so long. I remember one of the big things is I was driving with my family through the Bay Area, and then I heard you covering for Jim Rove, and my family was like, "Who is that?" I was like, That's Grant. That's Grant right there, covering down for Jim Rome, and that was just so incredible to kind of hear that. But where do you think for you that change kind of happened? What year was it? Was that when we had the big tumble, right? And then we had to have the Redeem team, or was this kind of something else?
No, I mean, I thought the Dream Team was great, and I understood it, and I thought it was one of the true great spectacles in the history of the Olympics. So no, it wasn't. I can't pinpoint it. I really can't. But I would say probably in the last 10 to 15 years, I would say, but probably the last 10 years.
10 years was kind of like the big, so decade ago for you was kind of the big turning point as far as you were concerned. And was
Well,
that just
listen, I think here's the way I would try to explain it. We know that the United States, for basically ever, has had true basketball supremacy. But the rest of the world has caught up to a degree, so
Bingo.
much so that Argentina with Manu Ginobili won the gold medal in the Olympics years ago. And we have seen the incredible improvement in countries like Spain and France when it comes to basketball. And to me, the United States has ignored that in a sense that you can be good in non-Olympic years. We'll just come see you every 4 years and we'll kick your ass and we'll still let you know that basketball is supreme in the United States. And I just think personally, that's a little bit of a dangerous recipe because, as Ryan was saying, these other teams have so much more chemistry and cohesion than the United States does.
Grant, other countries, and the USA has poor long-term planning. They're not looking out for the next Olympics. It's just right this second.
Yep.
Other countries, it's the pinnacle to make your national team. Kids are
They have a plan.
groomed
They have a plan
to be a part of the national team that plays in the Olympics. In America, it's get a scholarship and go to the NBA.
Yep.
And so, Grant, I mean, in a nutshell, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what I'm feeling like from you and Ryan, because I think you guys are a little bit similar on the same base, which I feel is a little touchy, but it's like, hey, for track and field, our top gunners, they're out there, they're pushing themselves as athletes, they're going up against the best competition, they're taking this seriously, and they're laying it all out there on the line, regardless of what it is, because they want to cut their teeth against the best that there is in the competition in the world. And then for you, it's just kind of like, oh gosh, not snidish, not blasphemy, but a little bit Bogartish, maybe just to be like, you know what, we're just going to show up. We're going to wake up once every 4 years.
It's cocky.
I think all the money and all
Cocky.
the guaranteed contracts, you don't have that in track and field and swimming and all of that. They're almost in a survival mode. But I would also say this: no one in America cares about track and field or swimming if it's not non-Olympic year. Now I'm generalizing, but
Sure.
Compared to the rest of the world, like if you go to other countries, track and field is huge,
Yep.
huge year round. It's only big here once every 4 years. And I got to tell you, when it comes to the Summer Olympics, the track and field is one of my favorite events. I love watching it. And again, I think the 100-meter dash, probably the most watched event of the entire Olympic Games, right? And when we had, Usain Bolt or whoever it was before that in previous Olympics, it was can't miss TV, right? Everyone was like, wow, we gotta see who the fastest man in the world is.
Yeah, can they pull off the 100 and the 200?
Yeah.
Michael Johnson, those years, absolutely.
That was actually going to be one of my next questions, Grant, is what Olympic event is it that you do watch? But I think we just heard it from the 100 meter. And then for Ryan, it sounds like you're a 200 meter, always having to kind of double up whatever Grant is saying. So, but then for me, it's gonna have to be I've been a big fan of the pole vaulting jump.
Yep.
I just always thought, like, these guys, when the sticks break or whatever it takes to really just pole vault yourself over that and not get skewered on that stick to become like a human shish kebab, I always just thought was just absolutely remarkable.
To me, what's fascinating, actually, Gammon, my favorite event's the 400. Just the all-out one lap. I love that in the relays. But
so not double what Grant said.
Not doubling Grant.
Quadruple,
yeah, there you go. Whatever. But no, like what I love about track and field is the movement, how technical it is. Have you ever watched the triple jump? Go try to do that on your front lawn one time and see what happens.
Make sure you have an ambulance nearby.
Exactly right. It's the high jump, manipulating your body to get it over a 7-foot pole. It's that kind of stuff that I just have great respect for. It's a different type of athleticism, and it's amazing to watch.
my favorite events that I watch, whether it's winter or summer Olympics, are I love track and field. I love swimming. I love the gymnastics. And the reason for that is the only time I watch those events are at the Olympics. And I love watching them, and I learn a lot about, the athletes and the backgrounds of these athletes, their upbringing, how they've achieved this, how much it means to them. And I love the human interest stories. And I'm not saying
Sure.
that the Olympics doesn't mean a lot to the players on Team USA, because I think if you were to talk to them, winning a gold medal would be a pinnacle of their career, even though they've won NBA championships. I think that it's that important to them. But I think that the whole attitude of Team USA basketball is only 4 years, and if it's not an Olympic year, I'm not playing, and don't wait, don't come get me, and I'm not taking it seriously. So that's been a little bit of a turnoff. But to answer your question, I love the downhill skiing in the Winter Olympics. It's my favorite. My favorite event of the Winter Olympics is the downhill skiing, because you only get one chance. You get one run. Okay. And if you have a bad day, it doesn't matter. You're screwed. You're done. And so I've always really loved the downhill. I think it's a fascinating, exciting, and incredible event. Like, look at on the women's side. What's her name? Shifron. What's the gal that has been great in all of the world competitions, but in the Olympics has been a complete failure, and was again in the previous Winter Olympics. I can't remember. I should know it. She's very famous. And so forgive me for not remembering her name. But her Olympic career has been a complete failure compared to her overall career. And again, what makes the Olympics and these events so great, in those skiing competition, you get one track, you get one run. Here it is. Here it is. You get one chance to win the gold. You get one opportunity to go down the hill, other than your practice runs, which don't count. But that's it.
Ryan Grant, can I tell you a guilty pleasure of mine? So I'm going to assume that the downhill skiing is the one where they have to carve against those red and blue flags to kind of get down. I also like the one, and I don't know what it's called, but I'm just going to make up a name for it. But it's the one where you jettison down this long ramp, and then you ski, and then they're just floating for like a while, and they have their skis just like my hands just there for a while. But I'm gonna be honest, my guilty pleasure, because I don't like household chores, but it's the curling event. I don't know why, but seeing people just broom and sweep like there's no tomorrow, that is just something that it takes me there, and
I tried curling. When I went to Bowling Green, they had a curling rink as part of the hockey rink in a separate area.
Yeah.
And
Bowling Green, Kentucky?
No, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Bowling Green State University in Ohio, in Bowling Green, Ohio. And so I've done curling before. Let me tell you something. It is a trip. It's a trip. It is an absolute trip.
How so? How so?
Just first of all, you got to wear certain shoes. You got to make sure you don't fall down. There is a true. I mean, it's just all about feel and strategy and luck, and it's just incredible. I mean, how much do you sweep the ice, or do you stop to let the disc continue down the ice? I mean, it's incredible. It really is.
No doubt. It is a fun one. The one that's fascinating to me, Grant, too, partially because the doctor said when you had your hips replaced, you'll never be able to do this. Olympic speed walking. These guys that are just out there moving, and then you got the ref that boop, boop. If you get going a little too quick, it's a good one. I love it.
Yeah, what are the rules? Are you allowed to have both feet off the ground at the same time when you're Olympic speed, or do you always have to have at least one foot contact? But I just see them, and just the amount of Shakira hip movement that they have going on there is just something to be. I didn't even think about that, but yes, the speed walking event is just something else. And I'm not going to lie to you, when I was in 6th, 7th grade, I really did. I tried speed walking as hard, as fast as I could, and I was just the amount of synergy and rhythm that they have is just absolutely unbelievable. But absolutely, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
No doubt. Gammon, thank you so much for the call
Thank
tonight.
you, buddy.
Good stuff.
Appreciate it.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Hey, you're the best. Appreciate you. Good
Good.
call. I love talking about some of the other Olympic events because, again, I love the Olympics. I really do. And I love watching the events that I don't watch on non-Olympic years.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, like you said, the human interest story, the fact that people train their entire lives to get to that point, doing something obscure, but still very impressive. It's second to none. You know what else is impressive, Grant? That's Bennett's Happy Hour. Yes, we're talking about Bennett's West Side Grill, newest location in Rockland in the Blue Oaks Town Center. I said happy hour. You got to make sure you go in Monday through Friday, 2 to 6, try their sips and taste. They've got some great options for you. The short rib tacos, the wedge salad, can't beat it. Also, 60 different types of wine by the glass. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can see all their other specials like weekend brunch, wine and dine Mondays, and so much more. Huge thanks to Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland and Brian and the team for sponsoring the stream tonight.
Yep, and I will be at Bennett's at the end of next month. I cannot wait. I will be, you and I will be there for
Absolutely
lunch or dinner or whatever. So, yeah, can't wait. Cannot
we
wait.
will get there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're waiting for our first Triple Crown Bennett's winner. Who in the chat has been to all 3 locations? Grant and I have been to all 3. Anybody? I know we got somebody that's been to 2. So
Yeah,
we're getting close.
Yep. And again, if you want to get in on the program, it's easy to do. What is on your sports plate the rest of this month? Because to me now, there's really nothing going on, is there?
Yeah, NBA really settles down. It's vacation time, like you said, for a lot of the front offices. I'm watching football. I'm gearing up for the season, gearing up for preseason, seeing what teams are going to do with certain contract situations. CD Lamb in Dallas, how they going to handle that, and really taking it in. And like you, hoping nobody gets injured. But I am really looking forward to the Olympics as well.
I haven't heard this. LeBron James is going to be carrying the U.S. flag. Is that true?
Yeah, he was miraculously voted by the Olympians to carry the flag. Who would have thought LeBron?
I don't even know what to say. I really don't.
It's not a shock. I mean, it is what it is.
I don't even know what to say. I really don't. What do you think? What do you think, everyone? Let us know. You yay or nay on LeBron James being the one to walk into Olympic Stadium carrying the flag?
Yep. Put that in the chat or give us a call. And also, Zach brings this up. I was going to bring it up to you as well, Grant. The Raptors waived Sasha, and he is foregoing his salary this year to no longer be in the NBA.
How would you characterize that from Sacramento's perspective, Sasha's perspective, and European basketball's perspective? We're talking about the MVP of the European League 1 year removed, who is already done. But how would you look at this from Sacramento's perspective?
That you dodged a bullet to a degree. Yeah, you had him for a season, but you could have had him for 2 more years, guaranteed. In terms of European basketball, I think we've got to pump the brakes on. I think Baki said it great. The year that Sasha was MVP, the league was down. You got to look at these prospects on an individual basis and not just assume, hey, that was the MVP. They won a championship. They'll work in the NBA. It speaks to the level of play, Grant, of the NBA.
That's very true. It does speak to that. And you just wonder if Sasha, if it was a cultural thing as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into playing in a different league in a different country.
Yeah, and you just hit the nail on the head. We're only talking about one aspect of his life, basketball. You know, moving over here, you're away from your family. It's a whole different animal, Napes.
All right. Again, if you would like to get in on the program, you can give us a call or you can hit us up via the chat line. We are happy to have you here joining us on this first day of the week as we get ready to, not too much longer. You know, we're heading towards the end of July, and then we will really be talking about, I hate to say this, the first couple of things we're going to be talking about with NFL training camps or injuries. You know it, and I know it. There are going to be non-contact season-ending injuries that we're going to start hearing about, and those just are awful. You hate to
Yep.
hear those.
And another thing we'll probably be talking about is the halos. Now that those can be worn on the field, that's going to be a big adjustment for the viewer.
All right, what do you think about that?
I think that it's completely fine. If the NFL is all about player safety, then it's the logical step, and it's not about the optics of the game, and it's not about the viewer experience. It would be hypocritical.
I'm with you. It's about player safety. So
Yeah.
it's not going to change my enjoyment of the game. It actually should enhance our enjoyment of the game if your players are on the field more instead of off the field because of a concussion.
Absolutely. I mean, whatever can lengthen their careers or help us not see those hits where, Tua is the first one for me that comes to mind where you see a hand frozen and twitching, Napes. That's something that sticks with you, regardless of whether you're a fan of him or not.
I think that's very well said. Hey, I want to talk to you about Sunrise Landing in Calusa. And if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you can check out everything from Blazona Development at the newest residential community in Calusa at Sunrise Landing. 6 models to choose from. Remember now, no Mellorews, no homeowners, great access to I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20, and it's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Just go to CalusaSunrise.com. Check out these beautiful models, various lot sizes, so many advantages of being in Calusa at Sunrise Landing. Again, just go to CalusaSunrise.com. That is CalusaSunrise.com, and you can check out everything at Sunrise Landing. Jerry Reynolds coming on your show tomorrow?
Absolutely. He'll be here at 2:00. Get your questions locked and loaded, and we'll have a good time with the one and only, as we always do.
All right. Again, so happy that everybody is here. On an interest of 1 to 10, 1 being no interest, 10 being at a peak, what's your interest in Team USA basketball? We'll start with the men for the upcoming games. What's your interest? What's your interest?
7.
Okay.
7, because I expect them to win the gold, and there really should not be much beyond that. How about yourself?
4.
That's better than I thought it would be, but fair enough. How about Team USA for the women? They lost in the WNBA All-Star game this weekend.
I did see that, but just based on everything, first of all, this is going to be all about Caitlin Clark not being on the team if they don't win the gold. It will be a disaster for Team USA on the women's side, but I think they will breeze, and I think that they will win the gold medal, and I think they'll win it handily.
Yeah, I'm with you. That should be fairly a no-brainer. I got to throw this out. We didn't hit on it at the top of the show, Napes, but McElroy, 78. Woods, 79. Napier, 87.
We weren't playing life. We weren't playing from the championship tees.
Still, round of your life, my friend.
87 at Royal Troon. I shot an 87. Yep.
Holy crap.
Yep. And I'll tell you, the postage stamp hole saved me because I was in the coffin bunker and I was able to get a bogey on that hole. When you're in the coffin bunker, as you can see, there were 6s, 7s, and 8s that were being, put on the card.
Yes. They looked massive on TV. I can't imagine what they look like in person.
Joaquin Neiman got an 8 on that hole on the postage stamp. An 8, a professional golfer, 8.
8 on a 3. There were some walking away from this weekend saying it is the best par 3 in golf. Period. End of story. That with 12 at Augusta.
Well, to think that you could have a hole that's 100 yards long or 110, depending on what tee you're playing. The day we played was the way it was yesterday. It was exactly 100 yards. To think that a 100-yard hole could be one of the most difficult par 3s in the world tells you a lot.
Absolutely. And the downhill, the wind, everything. Unreal. Beautiful, though. Very beautiful.
It's spectacular. I can't even begin to tell you what it's like when you walk up the steps from 7. And you walk up the steps and you're like, no problem. You're like, oh, yeah, no problem.
These guys have been talking about this hole for years. I don't get it.
Yeah. And then I don't think one of us in our group was on the green.
Well, it's the like players having to go the punch shot, or I call it the punch shot, was really popular. Going a club up and hitting it a little bit softer so you keep the ball
Yep.
lower with trajectory. That was big. But the players that were successful this last week were the ones that ended up playing the course and not playing themselves.
Yes.
They were taking the shots that were best suited for their game, right? As opposed to
Yep.
taking the aggressive line.
Do you know that in retrospect, after watching the tournament this weekend, I'm so happy that I hit my tee shot into the coffin bunker. And I really mean that I have, and then I hit it into the other bunker out of there. I hit the green out of the bunker, but the ball rolled off into the bunker on the other side. And I'm actually grateful that I had that experience because it gave me a complete feel for what I was watching over the weekend. If I had just hit the ball on the green, I would have had no idea how difficult it would have been. So I am grateful now that I hit my 100-yard tee shot into the coffin bunker. I really am. I'm very happy that I had that experience.
Absolutely. I mean, you pay that much to play golf, you make that long of a travel, you got to get your money's worth and get the full experience and tour of number 8. Come on.
Yeah. But back to your question about Rory McIlroy, I don't know what's happening to him. Do you?
It seems upstairs. It's something drastic enough for him. I'm not sure if you read this. He changed his phone number after the collapse at the U.S. Open. That tells you a lot of what you need to know. And golf is as mental as any game. In fact, Xander, the winner of the tournament this last weekend, he keeps a separate scorecard, him and his caddy, for when he hits a bad shot after being angry at a shot. That tells you how much the mental part plays into the game.
Did you see what Terrell Hatton did on the? He was playing the back nine. I was playing so bad. He told the caddy, "Give me the bag," and he carried the bag. He carried his bag the rest of the round and said, "I don't deserve to have someone carrying my bag. I'm carrying it."
Wow, incredible. Yep.
All right, so let's get back to Tiger Woods for a minute. I don't think there's any doubt. And I was wrong the last time I said this a couple of years ago, so I acknowledge that I was wrong.
Yeah,
he's never going to win another tournament.
You know, I think he will. You'll see his name at Augusta. I think he'll
other
make
than the Champions Tour. Now, when he turns 50, that's different. But I'm talking about on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play many PGA Tour events outside of a majors.
Right.
So Augusta, he'll get up for. But then the question becomes, how long can his body hold up making that walk at Augusta, because it's so hilly. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's the end of an era. But Charlie, his son, seems to be next in line to having a great run in golf.
A lot of response about LeBron James carrying the flag, and it's very, very. I've been looking at, like, here's one from Matthew. LeBron and Griner literally took a knee for the USA anthem. LeBron holds the flag. I mean, there's a lot of that going on. I understand where you're coming from, you know.
Yep.
And I also I'm a gigantic, huge fan of LeBron James, the basketball player. Huge fan, gigantic. I love the guy as a basketball player. Off the court, I've been very, very disappointed with LeBron, and quite frankly, I'm against. I wouldn't say I'm against it. I don't care, but I wish. I'll tell you what I wish. I wish an athlete from a different sport with and I can't even. I'm not a fan of this. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of LeBron James carrying the flag. I just think that the Team USA, the United States Olympic team, could have come up with a better choice. I get it. I understand the promotion. I understand, all the fanfare around it. I get all of that, but I am not on board with this. I'm not on board.
Yeah, I'm with you for some of the reasons that we have seen in the chat and others. But Jay, welcome in tonight, man.
What's going on? How you guys doing tonight?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be able to come on the show. So as far as the Olympics go, I want to get your take on something. Both of your takes. All right.
Okay.
Sure, you can, in the case of America, it's very unlikely that we're going to lose in the 5-on-5, but let's say we do. Who cares, right? let's say other countries can swim faster than us. Who cares? Let's say you can beat us on the track. You're faster than us. Who cares? Yeah, you could beat me at all these things, but who can really whoop that ass? That's what I want to know. And I think a forgotten sport in the Olympics that I wish wasn't as forgotten was boxing and wrestling, because that's going to be the closest thing that we can get to the ancient coliseums. You know,
True.
who can really? Yeah, okay, yeah, you can run faster than me, but I could whoop your ass. So, sorry, excuse my French. No pun intended with Paris and France. But you understand what I'm saying? It's like,
Yep.
yeah, you can jump higher than me on the pole vault, but I could whoop that ass. Like, let's see who's really the most dominant country, if that makes sense. What is your take on that?
I used to love watching Olympic wrestling, and I used to watch it a lot. It's not even really covered that much anymore, relatively speaking, but I used to love it. Back when Dan Gable was, a wrestling icon in that era, I used to love watching, wrestling. I used to love watching Olympic boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard and that
Mhm.
whole era. We all watched it. It was like the number one event in the Summer Olympics was watching the boxing. I have zero interest in watching the boxing now. I couldn't name you one United States boxer that's going to be
Yeah,
boxing over in Paris. And I have
I couldn't
zero
either.
interest in it. I will not watch the Olympic boxing. Well, I shouldn't say I won't watch it. If it's on, I'll watch it, but it's not like I'm going to change
You're
my
like
schedule
making
to
time out
watch
of
it.
your day, yeah,
Right.
to watch that. I totally get that. Rhino?
Yeah, I think there's been some great stories that have come from USA Wrestling in the past. I mean,
Yes.
certainly there's the mainstream names that you heard of, Kurt Angle, that's competed
Yep.
with a broken freaking neck. But I think also a lot of people, because the Olympics really are the only route for a collegiate wrestler to move on to that
Yeah.
next level.
hmm
Some of the greater athletes, they've started going to MMA, they've started going
Very
to WWE and other places where they can make a living. So it's taken some luster off of it for me, but there's something still very nostalgic about seeing two guys face off.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing with the UFC. It's kind of already the Olympics when it comes to like the ultimate who can win the fight. It's people from Brazil, people from Japan, China. It's everybody, whoever is the baddest dude in their weight class is competing. It doesn't matter where you're from. So that,
I also think the Olympics, I don't know if this is the right word to use or not, but it's been diluted by so many events that to me, I don't even consider sport, let alone an Olympic sport. And
that's
I think it's
very funny.
cheapened the ideal and the what I consider it in the Olympics, so that's part of it too.
I agree. And what about, since you mentioned that, the flag football being introduced in 2028?
That's stupid.
Yeah,
Why?
I agree. I think it should be full contact if you're going to do it. There's other countries that are jumping on the sport. You know, I'm sure America would be dominant, but I think Canada wouldn't be far from
So I
America.
didn't even know they have flag football coming into the Olympics in
Yeah.
2028.
Yeah.
Did
It's
you
a
know that,
joke.
Rhino?
Yeah, I did. I
Oh,
did.
break dancing this year is a new sport.
Yes, it's crazy, Napes. The stuff that they're considering probably won't be long till cornhole is also included in the Olympics.
Bowling.
Yep.
You
I
know,
love some of those things, but they don't belong in the Olympics.
exactly.
Well, and the other aspect, I was reading a big story on this the other day. This has nothing to do with the actual competition. The amount of money that is being spent on security for the Summer Games in Paris is astronomical. The cost now of putting on a worldwide event like this in the era that we are living in is through the roof. Like, you can't even imagine the security detail, the cost, and the planning. We talk about planning an event. They've been planning the security detail for 4 years of these games. Think about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, we saw what happened last week. No, don't want to get on, politics on here, but
There you go.
that's a very good example. And let alone you're having people from all over the world, prime ministers that may come and visit,
Yep.
or country leaders. I don't know, whatever they want to call them, kings and queens. Yeah, it's definitely, I 100%,
Well,
and even
See,
myself, I thought if I was Team USA, if I was, not that I am,
Yep.
but if I were on Team USA and I heard about what had happened last week, I might have reconsidered going to Paris just because I don't like this safety concern.
Well,
I don't know how. No,
to me, it can happen anywhere. I think last week you could use that as an example as well. Can happen anywhere you're at. I think the unfortunate thing is that ultimately gets passed along to the consumer. And the Olympics are supposed to be about the best of the best making it. And I don't want the Olympics to turn into something where it's what you just said, prime ministers, the elites of the elites going to watch, and the common folk can't get a ticket to track and field. Just what we saw in Miami a couple weeks ago
because
with the
the
Copa
security.
final.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too.
So
Yeah.
Jay, we appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank you guys.
thank you, Jay.
All
Always
right.
updating his backgrounds there.
Love
Good
it.
job by him.
Yeah, I like that. All right. So tomorrow, 2:00, the King's Court. Rhino will have
Absolutely.
Jerry Reynolds, the one and only Jerry. Tell Jerry I said hello, would you please?
Oh, you know I will. Definitely will do that, Napes.
We'll get together for lunch at the end of August when I'm in town. We'll all hook up.
I can't wait. I would love that. And really quick, before we wrap up, saw some questions in the chat. The Pick'em League for this year's NFL season will be coming back. So as we get closer, we'll get that information to everyone.
Sounds awesome. I appreciate that. Rhino, you have a great rest of your Monday evening, buddy. And we look forward to watching your show right here tomorrow at 2:00 with Jerry Reynolds on If You Don't Like That.
Thanks, Napes. Really appreciate it. You as well.
Thanks for the calls. Thanks for everyone joining us here. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.